Hello and welcome to Popcorn Dreams, home of the greatest ideas on the internet.
Accept no substitutes.
Today I present my idea for a brand new Star Wars trilogy. For me, there is one great Star Wars movie and two very good ones. And yes, before you ask, of course, those are the original trilogy. All of the other films have occasional moments, but none of them have captured that original magic. Yippee! And I use the word magic deliberately because, let's be honest, none of them are perfect. They all have clunky dialogue, plot holes a mile wide, and if I'm honest, I find Luke annoying in the first movie.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters. It just isn't fair. Why didn't you outrun him? I thought you said this thing was fast. You kidding at the rate they're gaining? What's that flashing?
But none of that matters because of the way those movies make you feel. Cinema is about eliciting an emotion. It's not just purely academic criticism. If it makes you feel good, if it creates an emotional connection, that's what's important. And that is what the original trilogy did, and the two trilogies since have not been able to replicate. That is what we need to recapture, that sense of awe, a fairy tale in space matched with unbridled creativity. However, the world is not the same as it was in the 70s. If you presented a sci-fi movie where a farm boy gets to save an entire galaxy, I feel like modern audiences would sense that it's a little naive, a little far-fetched. It would just seem trite. So it needs to have similarities to those original movies. If we don't have, then what's the point in calling it Star Wars in the first place? But it must feel new and unique. So let's start by talking about the title. I'll be honest, we're going to get the writers' room to work on that. And that's because Star Wars films always have slightly clunky titles. The Phantom Menace, everyone thought that was a joke. Attack of the Clones sounds like a bad 50s ripoff. But they are like that because they are based and inspired by those 50s sci-fi serials. And that makes me think of titles like Flying Disc Men from Mars, Commando Cody, Sky Marshal of the Universe, Radar Men from the Moon, and my personal favourite, Captain Video, Master of the Stratosphere. And once I start thinking of those titles, I just can't get it out of my head. I'd end up calling this something stupid like Rise of the Master or Raid of the Space Bandits or just something awful. So, yeah, okay, once I've pitched the film and we've gone back and worked the script, we'll come up with a title then. Until then, this is Star Wars 10 and the opening text crawl will look like this. And we open on a single character in the desert, standing in the far distance. We can see a small town. There's just a glint from the metal of the lightsaber hanging from his belt. And raider ships fly over his head and start attacking the town in the distance, just as the sun hits the horizon and is about to set for the night. This character, for ease of memory, we are now going to refer to as Jedi. Jedi takes off and starts running towards the town, eager to try and save the people there from the incoming raiders. When he gets there, it's dark, but gunfire, laser fire is going off everywhere. There's explosions, there's women and children crying in the street. There are people trying to fight the raiders off but getting beaten down. The Jedi runs through the streets trying to save as many people as he can, but he's clearly looking for something or someone. He turns a corner and there he sees the 2 young children that he was looking for. He runs to them and immediately cradles them, trying to protect them from everything that's going off. But the elder child screams "Mummy" and points down the street. The Jedi stands up, turns, looks as their mother gets cut down by the raiders. The elder child is holding the younger child to his body so that the younger child doesn't see their mother being killed. But the older child sees everything. The Jedi immediately scoops them up, runs out of town, gets to his speeder, and then disappears off into the desert. Those 2 young children, I'm going to refer to them as brothers. But actually, it would depend on who we cast at the time. They could be brothers, they could be sisters. It really makes no difference to me whatsoever. However, we're going to refer to them for ease of memory as younger and elder. The Jedi speeder pulls into a little compound that's on the edge of a group of buildings that's clearly a small settlement. He puts the brothers down and he shows them into his house, and he gives them a small corner where they can make it their own and they can sleep and rest. The Jedi saving them was no coincidence because he could sense that they were strong in the Force.
The Force is strong in this one.
No mention of midi-chlorians here. We're going to go back to that original trilogy. Those vague comments about this one is strong in the Force.
For my ally is the Force. And a powerful ally it is. Life creates it. Makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter.
He takes the boys, he nurtures them, he tries to help them get over the shock and the loss of their mother, and he starts to train them in the ways of becoming a Jedi. So the Jedi starts training elder and younger, and we are shown several different montages of the boys doing different exercises. What's important during these montages, though, is that we show the difference in character between the 2 boys. Each time they train, the elder is more prone to violence and releasing rage, whereas the younger is calmer and more thoughtful. We don't spend too much time with the boys when they're young. No, we don't want that. No, that's bad. We'll go older. Yeah. We'll kind of skip through. We need a montage. And we're gonna need a montage. That's what we'll use. We'll use montages to get them through their childhood. And when we pick up with them properly, they will be in their 20s. However, now the boys are fully grown, they are very, very different. The elder is haunted by nightmares and visions of his mother. Specifically, visions of that night he saw his mother cut down by raiders. The Jedi tries to comfort him, but the elder rejects that, partly because he feels like with all the powers that they've learned, and with all the power the Jedi has shown, he should have been able to save their mother. What's also important, though, is that the elder brother has visions of great power and dominance over vast planets, vast numbers of people, anything that shows him to be in control. But those visions he doesn't tell the Jedi about. Meanwhile, the planet is still having problems with space raiders. Lots of different villages and cities are being attacked almost every week, and so the Jedi still uses his powers to try and protect those people. Now that the boys are older, the Jedi starts to take them on the missions with him. And this is again another good point to show how the two brothers deal with situations differently. The younger brother looks to save as many people as he can. He uses violence, of course, to protect people and to stop raiders from attacking people. But when it comes down to it, his primary focus is to get as many people to safety as possible. Whereas the elder brother looks to murder as many raiders as possible. If he gets an opportunity between saving two people or cutting down another raider, he will take that opportunity to kill a raider every chance he gets. And we really see the rage and the anger and the hurt of his mother's death flowing through him.
Good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
Later we see the Jedi and the younger brother talk about the elder brother's actions. This is a good chance for us to show that the Jedi does truly understand what the elder brother is going through. He understands what he's feeling, but maybe doesn't have the ability to directly help him. He might be an excellent Jedi, he might be very powerful, but can he form a relationship with a troubled child? The Jedi explains to the younger brother that because the elder brother protected him from seeing their mother murdered, he now is haunted by that vision. He's haunted by what he saw, and he tries to take that rage out on anyone else he sees. He tries to take it out on the raiders because that's an obvious link, but he also takes it out on his brother and the Jedi. He takes it out on anyone, which stops him from forming a true relationship and forming a true bond with them. And that's partly just the fear of that loss happening again. And it's also the anger at his own inability, because he was so young, to do anything about it and to save his mother. However, rather than relying on the whole Yoda fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, which is clearly nonsense, instead the Jedi is going to explain to the younger brother that hate is like a weed. It grows and it eats away at you, and it takes away the space for other more positive emotions to grow. Of course, we also have to see the Jedi trying to work with the elder brother and help him understand. But of course, the elder brother just sees that there is a very quick solution to the problem. Kill the raiders, problem solved. And he thinks that if the Jedi would just let them go and let them be free, stop trying to control them, then they would be able to wipe out the raiders very quickly. But the Jedi says that aggressive bloodshedding would just bring more pain and more trouble. They don't know where the raiders come from. They don't know who's in charge of the raiders. They don't know the size of the raiders' whole force. If they aggressively start attacking raiding forces and trying to wipe them out, possibly larger forces and more people could come down who could overwhelm them entirely, and then who would be there to protect the innocent villagers? Raiders then attack another village. The Jedi takes both brothers, and this time the elder brother is even worse. The elder brother is almost seeking to prove to the Jedi that he's right, and in his anger and his drive to wipe out as many raiders as possible, he kills one of the townsfolk. What's worse is that when they get back to the compound, the Jedi says to the elder brother about the situation and what happened, and the elder brother doesn't show a lot of remorse. Instead, he suggests that the man that he killed shouldn't have been there in the first place. So the Jedi decides to take the elder brother out into the wilderness to try and meditate, try and focus, to try and help him once and for all vent this frustration and this anger. Meanwhile, the younger brother stays back at the compound, helping out around with all of the refugees who have started to accumulate there from the different villages that are being attacked. First night in the wilderness, and the elder brother is given a vision where he sees the whole planet being peaceful, no raiders, and he is in charge. He takes this as a sign that he is right and that he's going to prove that to the Jedi no matter what. In fact, he goes so far as to say that the Jedi is old and weak and that the community he is building out in the wilderness is actually holding him back and limiting how much work he can do. Elder says that he will do what the Jedi cannot. He will go out and he will wipe out the raiders, a ship at a time if he must. The Jedi asks how he will know where to find them before they even attack a town. The Elder says somebody out there will know where they are. He will go and he will make them tell him. He will get that information no matter what it takes. The Jedi then says, and what happens if you torture someone who is innocent, just like you killed an innocent man during the raid? The Elder says, if they tell him the truth, he will know it, and he will then move on until he finds someone who does know where the raiders are. The Jedi says he will not allow the elder brother to hurt innocents, and he says he will stop him from doing it if he has to. The elder brother turns, he sits on a rock, he's frustrated, he's angry. He knows, he's already thought of what he's going to do, but he's just holding back from taking that plunge. The Jedi then says, right, if you can't cope, I've tried to give you all of the counseling and all of the guidance that I can, but if you really cannot cope, then leave your lightsaber here, get 2 tickets to leave the planet, go out into the void, out into space. There are a million other planets. Perhaps there you can find the peace that you weren't able to find here at home. The Jedi turns his back and starts to pack his bag. The elder brother stands up in frame just behind him. He stands up and he ignites his lightsaber. The Jedi looks with a look of sorrow and regret. He turns around to face him and he prepares for a fight. Back home, and the younger sibling is meditating. He has a vision of what is about to happen between his elder brother and their master, the Jedi. He immediately opens his eyes, grabs his lightsaber and rushes out to try and stop the confrontation. And we have an epic duel between the elder brother and the Jedi. The master at first thinking that he will be able to stop the elder quite easily, and then slowly realizing through the fight that the elder brother is more powerful than he thought. Also, the elder brother is very quick and very happy to use all of their environment against the Jedi. The younger brother is speeding through the desert, and as he arrives, he sees his elder brother cut the Jedi down. The younger brother confronts his elder brother and he says to him, "Why? What have you done? Come on, this man raised us." The elder brother doesn't even talk. He just turns to his younger brother and attacks. He knows that there's no way that his younger brother is going to follow him, and he also knows that his younger brother may be able to stop him. However, this is where we see that the younger brother is the more powerful. The elder brother attacks with fury and rage and is always diving for that killing strike. But the younger brother parries, he has control, he has thought, he has an answer to everything his brother is throwing at him. But he doesn't have the resolve to kill his older brother. What does happen though, in a callback to pretty much every single Star Wars film. The younger brother, whilst defending the strikes from the elder brother, cuts off the elder brother's arm. This doesn't stop the elder brother from his all-encompassing rage, and eventually the elder brother defeats himself because in his anger he sacrifices his footing to try and get a strike on his younger brother. He loses balance and he falls off the edge of the cliff. This ending allows us to use him again as a bad guy if Disney want a whole trilogy, and if it doesn't, it means we have a reasonably satisfying end just to this movie. And speaking of the ending of the film, this movie, as is tradition, ends with a funeral pyre for a Jedi. No, not like that, not that one, no. Yeah, more like that. So there we are, I've totally saved Star Wars, or have I? Well, I like the fact that this is a simpler, more straightforward story. It's more personal, it's more character driven, it's a simpler setting. It's different from what has been done before, but still has a lot of the themes that have run through other Star Wars movies. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time on The Pitch.